The unit cell is defined as the smallest repetitive unit of the lattice. So now, at each of these lattice points, we place an atom or molecule, which we call as basis. Considering a single atom is placed at each of these lattice points, what would be the number of atoms per unit cell? So in the same cubic structure only we will discuss this. So what would be the number of atoms in a different cubic structure or lattice or unit cell? So this is the first one. This is a unit cell, that is the lattice. This is unit cell. The whole thing is lattice. This, if you consider this one, that is a unit cell. So this is a simple cubic structure. So here we see, for example, if we take this one, let's say just a minute. So this particular atom, look at this particular atom. So this particular atom not only belongs to this unit cell, whatever the unit cell is being highlighted, it also belongs to so many other unit cells, right? So this point, lattice point, at which we can consider an atom. So this atom also belongs to so many unit cells. If we look carefully, this belongs to 8 unit cells. Do you agree? This particular atom belongs to 8 unit cells. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
So now, yes, any doubt? So this, if there is an atom at this point, at this lattice point, then this atom not completely belongs to this one unit cell. It is shared by so many unit cells. So for this particular unit cell, what is the contribution by this particular atom?
1 by 8.
Yes, this atom is shared by 8 unit cells. So for this particular unit cell, the contribution by this atom is 1/8. Similarly, each and every lattice point or atoms at each and every lattice point contributes only 1/8 to this particular unit cell. Okay, there are how many lattice points are there, or how many atoms are there? There are 8 lattice points, therefore 8 atoms are there. Each atom contributes 1/8. Therefore, the number of atoms in this unit cell is how much?
1.
See here. 1/8 is contributed by each of the atoms. Therefore, the total is 8 into 8 atoms. Contribution by each atom is 1/8. So this turns out to be one atom in simple cubic structure. Suppose let's consider body-centered cubic structure. What would be the number of atoms per unit cell? Body-centered. There are 8 points or 8 lattice points at the edge corner, and there is one atom at the center of the body. Same thing, same unit cell. Only thing is at the center of the body or center of the unit cell, there is one atom. The atoms at the corner are again, they continue to be shared by 8 surrounding unit cells, whereas the atom which is at the center of the unit cell, center of the body, that's why we call it as body-centered cubic cell, BCC. So that the atom which is located at the center of the unit cell, that doesn't belong to any other unit cell. It belongs only to this particular unit cell. So what is the total number of atoms there?
2.
2, sir.
Yes. 1 because of all these corner 8 atoms, 1 because of the center one. Then what about face centered?
4.
4.
4.
Face centered is 4. That's it. You want to note down quickly. I'll give you a minute. Don't note down this. This takes time. Just note down this. and one simple cubic. Not the whole lattice, one simple cubic.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, can you repeat it again, sir? Speaking. Sir, you are muted.
I didn't get you.
Can you repeat again, sir?
Which one? What of the thing?
8 into 1 by 8.
This one. See, very simple. Let's just a minute. Yes. Let's consider this. Yes. Let us consider this one. Okay. Let us take this unit cell. Okay. Let's consider this unit cell. So in this unit cell, each of the corner has one atom. In this, now you just concentrate on this particular unit cell. This one. So this unit cell is part of, here how many unit cells are there? I'll start marking. Unit cell 1, unit cell 2, unit cell 3,
8.
unit
Sir,
cell
8.
Yes?
8, sir.
8. Correct. 4, unit cell 5, unit cell 6, unit cell 7, unit cell 8. There are 8 unit cells. Look at this atom carefully. This unit cell is part of all the 8 unit cells. This atom is part of all the 8 unit cells. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
So how many? What is the quantity of atom is here? Atom here
1 by 8.
is only one atom. Okay, there is only one atom here. It is shared by 8 unit cells. So for any unit cell, this contributes only 1/8. Okay, and how many such atoms are there in a unit cell? This contributes 1/8, this contributes 1/8, this 1/8, this 1/8, this. So each one of them contributes 1/8. There are 8 such atoms. Clear? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Move forward. Okay. Lattice constant of a cubic lattice. How do you define lattice constant? Define lattice constant, somebody, quickly. from whatever you have understood. Don't Google it. Lattice constant is same as lattice parameter here. Nothing to worry. How do you define?
A equal to B equal to C.
Hey, come on. Leave mathematics. Talk about physics.
So all sides will be equal. Like
Need not. What does it indicate? You tell me. What does lattice constant indicate? What does A indicate? Come on. A equal to B equal to C. I understand.
Physical dimension.
Sorry?
Physical dimension.
Physical dimension of what?
The
A
lattice.
unit cell.
Unit
Between
cell.
two atoms.
Yes. Between two atoms, what?
Length between the two atoms.
The distance, shortest distance between two atoms, or distance between adjacent atoms. That is called as lattice constant. The speciality in cubic lattice is lattice constant in all the three directions are equal in quantity. Right? Yes or no? They are equal in quantity. So here in the in cubic lattice, we have the rho. Rho is the density, total mass of molecules belonging to unit cell divided by volume of the unit cell. This is the density of a unit cell. We are not talking about density of a material. Okay? Here we are just talking about density of a unit cell. Of course, it is defined in the same lines as that of density of a material. Now, total mass of molecules in unit cell equal to number of molecules belonging to unit cell multiplied by mass of each molecule. Okay. Now, mass of each molecule is equal to molecular weight by Avogadro's number, m by Na. Now, total mass of molecules in one unit cell is equal to n. N is the number of molecules or atoms belonging to an unit cell multiplied by m by Na. Rho is equal to nm by a cube into Na. Okay. Where did you get a cube from? Nma we got from here.
A is the length.
it's a volume of
between
cube.
atoms cube.
Yes. So this a cube is the volume of a unit cell. So A is equal to nm by rho Na whole raised to 1 by 3. Okay. So if we know rho, see, there is not much difference between, in a crystal, there is not much difference between rho of a unit cell and rho of a material. There is not much difference between rho of the unit cell and rho of the material. They are one and the same. Therefore, if we know the density of the material and if we know the structure, we can very easily find out what is the lattice parameter of a cubic lattice. This works well in cubic lattice, not in all lattice, remember. That's why we are very particular here. We are talking only about cubic lattice. So A is given by A is equal to cube root of nm divided by rho into Na. What is n here? What is n?
Number of molecules in one unit.
Avogadro number.
Number of atoms.
Small n.
Number of atoms.
Number of moles.
Number of atoms or molecules. Number of atoms or molecules belonging to that unit cell. Suppose if it is simple cubic, what would be this n?
1.
1.
1.
Correct. If it is simple cubic, n would be 1. If it is
Sir, can you repeat? We didn't hear.
If it is BCC, what would be n?
2.
2.
Sir, 2.
Correct. If it is FCC,
4.
4.
so
4.
only n changes N changes, M rho N will be same here. Okay, so now this is about the lattice cubic lattice. Relation between atomic radius and lattice constant. Here, this is body-centered cubic lattice. It has one atom at the center and 8 atoms at the corner. They will be, in fact, almost touching each other. So here, what is the relation between atomic radius and lattice parameter? Here, the atomic radius means this is the atomic radius. This would be atomic radius R. Okay, this would be atomic radius 1 over R. If you consider R as the atomic radius, if you consider R as the atomic radius, this would be R. But total from here to here, it will be how much?
A.
2R.
2R. A equals
2R. Okay.
Yes, sir.
From here to here, it will be 2R. Right? Is it? Correct. So now, here, in this case, if we have to find out, is A equal to 2R? Straight away, do we get this? No, we don't get, actually. Cannot use this, just a minute. Here it won't work. This is R. This is R. But total not equal to 2R. Total is not equal to 2R. Okay. When can I expect the total to be equal to 2R? If it is simple cubic, the total would be 2R. Okay. If it is simple cubic, the total A would be equal to 2R. But this is not simple cubic. This is body-centered cubic. So in this case, how to find the relation between radius and lattice parameter? That is the question. For that, we will draw a line from here to here. Diagonally, let us draw a line. Okay. What is the length of this diagonal?
4R.
4R. Very good. 2R because of this atom. Sorry, R because of this atom. R because of this atom. 2R because of the central one. So this becomes 4R. Then let this be call it as A, B, C. Now AB square is equal to BC square plus AC square. Do you agree?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
To BC square plus AC square. Right? So this is 4R whole square. What is BC square? Come on, somebody.
A
BC
square.
A square.
A square.
What is AC square?
√2 into A whole square. 2A square. 2A square.
This one. It's like A square plus A square, right? This AC square is equal to 1A square here, 1A square here, 2A square. Do you agree? Face
Yes,
diagonal.
Yes, sir.
So find out. A is equal to, simplify this, 4 by root 3. Okay. Now for FCC. Oh, something is there. We have a good diagram over there. Let me check. So here is the diagram, very clear diagram. If you want, you can note down this. Let's check for FCC also. For FCC, it is simple. You don't have to draw body diagonal. We'll have to only draw a face diagonal and check. So here, face diagonal 2R plus R plus R, 4R. This is A, this is A. So 4R whole square equal to 2A square, right? What do you get? 4R
A is equals to 4R by root 2.
A is equal to 2 root 2R, same as 4R by root 2,
Yes.
right?
4R by root.
Same. Okay. So here A is equal to 4 by root 2R. For simple cubic, A is equal to
2R.
yes, that's it. Note down this quickly. Okay, let's move on. Now this is atomic packing factor. That means this is indirectly saying about the density of atoms in a unit cell. So it is defined as packing factor is equal to total volume occupied by all the atoms in the unit cell divided by volume of the unit cell. The total volume occupied by all the unit cells, that is given by total number of atoms. Here comes total number of atoms multiplied by volume of each of the atoms. divided by volume of the unit cell. Can you calculate for simple cubic what is packing factor? Quickly.
$52.4.
0 point.
52.4.
Say it in percentage.
52.4%.
How much? 52.
52.4.
Let's say 52%. Okay. Then for BCC.
BCC is 68%.
For FCC.
BCC 68, FCC 74.
So this is the atomic packing factor. Note down this.
Sir, can you make us all participants? So somebody from that time is removing us from the meeting.
No, I have not given permission to anybody.
No, sir. I itself have the permission.
You have. I don't know how it happens. I think it's done.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. So next we'll have to start with vacancies, defects. See here, why did we discuss this crystal? That is a basic question. Why should we discuss crystals? Because the devices, whatever we use in electronics, they are either made of metal, semiconductors. Also, part of them also contains dielectric. Most of these materials are crystalline in nature. So it is very important to have the basic understanding of crystals to know, to have a better understanding of their properties or their behavior. See, we have different types of semiconductors, different type of metals, but we cannot use all type of semiconductors or all type of metals at every application. Also, with respect to semiconductors, depending on their behavior, we will be changing the materials what we use in different devices. In optoelectronics, some type of materials are preferred, right? In transistors, some type of materials are preferred. And as interconnects, we use certain types of metals, not all types of metals, because we have so many devices on a chip. These devices need to be interconnected, right? There are thousands of devices fabricated on a chip, individual devices. All these devices have to be properly connected. That's also very important, right? If you have an array of, let's say, 20 transistors in different combinations, right? So all these transistors have to be connected according as per the circuit. So for the connection, we use metal. We cannot use any metal for that matter, depending on the situation, depending on what is the heat capacity it has, depending on what is the heat loss we can expect, right? Depending on what is the reaction time, we'll have to carefully choose a particular metal for our application. Similarly for semiconductor as well for dielectric. So it is very important to know the basic understanding of what is crystal, how they are made up of, the atoms, how the atoms are arranged, all these things we have to be very, very clearly understand. Once this is done, what are the other characteristics of crystals? See, we know the electrical conductivity is one of the important characteristics that we look forward in a crystal. It may be a metal, a semiconductor, or a dielectric. But electrical conductivity plays important role for us when we use it or choose it for a device. Right. This electrical conductivity depends on what factors in a crystal. There are some general factors. It affects all the crystals, all type of crystals. Similarly, if we are looking for crystal for a particular optoelectronic application, right? So there are different crystals, of course, different materials which exhibit optoelectronic properties, which can be used in LED, let's say. So depending on color of the LED, the response time, we select a particular material. Apart from that, what are the characteristics, general characteristics that may apply any of these crystals? That's very important. Right? We need to understand it. So in that, very important character, what we look forward is imperfections and defects in this crystal. We define crystals as regularly and periodically, repetitively arranged atoms or molecules. See, we use so many terms here: regular, periodic, repetitive. Right? And the basic property of these crystals is each and every lattice points are geometrical points which are ideal in nature, which are ideal in nature. So we assign for each and every lattice point an atom or a molecule. That means as the lattice points, lattice points are ideal geometrical structure and they extend three-dimensionally, we expect the real crystal also to have atoms at this designated or specific lattice points and extend three-dimensionally. Right. But I said lattice is ideal case because it is just, it consists of geometrical arrangement, geometrical array of points. But what we are talking is a crystal, a real one. In real one, we expect each and every lattice point to be occupied by an atom. Let's call it as atom. Let's not complicate by saying it molecule. So each and every lattice point to be occupied by an atom. When a crystal naturally exists, when we grow a crystal or naturally it exists, the ideal geometric situation cannot be expected here. Because geometric situation is theory, but it's mathematics, geometric points. The ideal condition you can expect. But what we are talking is a crystal. It's a real world material. You cannot expect ideal situations here. You have chaos, you have entropy, and these crystals have been formed under different environments, under different conditions. Therefore, you cannot expect ideal structure, what we see in the case of lattice in a crystal. Of course, more or less, we see the lattice points are there, the atoms are occupied the lattice points. There are lattice parameters, everything is there, but not as ideal as we expect in a lattice. This is what leads to imperfections and crystals in defects. So when we grow a crystal, in a laboratory under different conditions, or when a crystal exists naturally, like the diamond exists naturally, copper exists naturally. Okay, when it exists naturally, it is formed under different conditions, which cannot be 100% perfect crystal. We cannot expect 100% perfect crystal. It is not possible. Very rare. So perfect crystals are not there. We don't find perfect crystals. Of course, for our applications, we don't need. That's second thing. So if it is not perfect, then what is it? Obviously, it has to be imperfect. When I say it is imperfect, what are the imperfections? Imperfections are vacancies, impurities, and we also find defects. Vacancies are different, defects are different. Let us discuss about it later. So what is the importance of these imperfections in our study? Or why are we interested in these imperfections? Because these imperfections affect our electrical, optical, and mechanical properties. See, when we start with a material, when we build a device, we expect a minimal or we some optimized properties. We expect an optimized or minimal properties to be exhibited by this device. Let it be electrical, optical, or mechanical properties. But if the material, whatever we are using, if it has more imperfections, if it is full of vacancies, impurities, or defects, then whatever the properties we expect, whatever the electrical conductivity we expect, electrical response we expect, the optical characteristics we expect, and the mechanical stability we expect, we may not get that. So we have to be very careful when we use a material for our fabrication purpose. If you are designing a device, if you are fabricating a device, we have to be very careful what kind of material we are using, what would be the vacancies, what would be the impurities, what would be the defects, to what extent we can compromise on this. Because whatever we compromise on this, that straight away is shown by the electrical and optical, mechanical properties of the devices. So the final performance of the device depends on imperfections to a large extent. So we have to be very careful when we select a material, And these vacancies, impurities, defects, it's bound to happen in all type of crystals, and it depends on the growing conditions or fabricating conditions. You vary the conditions, you vary the temperature, pressure, you vary the environment, they vary. So that is the reason this semiconducting industry is so expensive. Any semiconducting devices, whatever we have, they are so expensive, electronics is so expensive, and also you see, the solar cells what we use, they are so expensive. Why are they so expensive? Because of the fabrication process. If you do not fabricate them well, it leads to a lot of imperfections. Therefore, the conversion efficiency, that means conversion of solar light into electrical energy, that reduces. That further increases the cost. So that is why the imperfections have to be understood properly. What are different kinds of imperfections, and what all we can afford when we are designing a device or when we are fabricating a device. This is very important information. So here, in the case of imperfection, first let us talk about vacancies, right? So these vacancies and also imperfections, they are called as imperfections. They are identified as point defects. So in defects, there are three different types: point defects, line defects, plane defects. point defects, line defects, plane defects. These point defects mostly you would have studied already. Sure. So in vacancies, as the name itself suggests, one of the atom would be missing. That is called vacancy. One of the atom would be missing. See here we see if this is a crystal, we expect periodic repetitive array of atoms in all the directions. If one of the atom is missing suddenly, that is a vacancy. Because of that vacancy, the region around this vacancy has a slightly strained crystal structure. The unit cell is slightly strange because of the absence of this. So the energy around here, the distributed energy around here is different than the rest of the crystal. So obviously this region behaves differently, slightly, not much, slightly differently compared to rest of the region. So anything which happens around here, whatever happens around here, an electron moving, a hole moving, a recombination happening, whatever happens here, that behaves differently from that of the rest of the material or rest of the crystal. This is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. Do you remember this? This is Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution. What is on x-axis and y-axis? You remember? Do you remember this? Anybody?
No, sir.
No? See, this is called Maxwell-Boltzmann distribution law. This is different, you don't worry about this. Or you can, this is actually V. If you look at the unit, you see meter per second. This is the velocity of gas molecule. This is the density of gas molecule. Number density of gas molecules. Of course, this you can. So here, the atoms in a crystal also have similar distribution with respect to their energy. This is the energy possessed by the atoms. These are the atoms. Energy possessed. Not all atoms have same energy. They need not have to have. So the energy of these atoms in a lattice or in a crystal lattice, it is distributed like this. And of course, this don't worry about these numbers. Just you say energy is minimum, then energy increases to maximum, then decreases. What is this here on y-axis? Y-axis is number of atoms. Number of atoms. They are still bound to the lattice point. They are still bound. They cannot move, but they cannot move from their place. But still, they have different energy. Their energy is not same. They have different energy. Right. So now here, look at this carefully. All of them, all of these atoms do not have same energy. Some of them have high energy. Of course, the number is less, but some of them have high energy. Some of them have very less energy. Some of them even have energy almost equivalent to. Okay. So now this graph suggests us that there are some atoms which have more energy. Do you agree? There are some atoms which have more energy, but they are still bound to the crystal lattice. Atoms are there still in the lattice, but some of them have more energy. If they have more energy, will they not try to break the bond? Of course they will. Every atom tries to break the bond. No atom sits here stationary. No atom in the crystal sits stationary. Every atom with the thermal energy, whatever it has, every atom tries to break the bond. It attempts. Every atom attempts. But there are few atoms which have higher energy. These atoms can very easily break the bond. right? When they break the bond, what happens? They move up. They move out. They move to the surface. If they are well within the material, they move to the surface. Like this. See here, this atom has broken the bond and it has moved. Similarly, look here, the atom has broken the bond and it has moved here. Okay, now this is a vacancy. There is a vacancy here. Looking this vacancy, this atom moves here. And this atom has moved here. From here, it came here and it went here. This atom, from here, it went here. Till now. So, and this atom again here, this atom went here. What is left here? What is left behind here? A vacant space. A vacant space. So this vacant space is called as vacancy. Crystal vacancy. Okay, missing of one of the atom is called as vacancy. Crystal vacancy or vacancy. This normally happens in crystals. However, better you fabricate them in whatever the right condition. Normally, because this is internal phenomena, you cannot control it. You can control the defects, but this vacancies you cannot control. It's difficult. So this is how the vacancy is created. Now, this formula gives the vacancy concentration. Vacancy concentration NV, number of vacancies, is equal to capital N. Capital N is number of atoms per volume. Number of atoms in unit volume times exponential minus EV by KT. EV is the energy for vacancy creation. Energy to create vacancy or energy for vacancy creation. EV divided by K times T. Okay. Okay. So higher the temperature, what happens to NV? Increases or decreases? Come on, quickly. If you increase the temperature, what happens to NV?
Increases.
Increases or decreases?
Sir, the number of vacancies will increase because
Number of vacancies will increase.